Future wars won't be fought by soldiers in trenches or even by pilots in the sky. They will be fought by clouds of machines. We are building weapons that move like flocks of birds and think like a single brain, creating a force that cannot be bargained with, cannot be scared, and cannot be stopped. Imagine looking up and seeing the sky turn black, not with storm clouds, but with thousands of autonomous drones. If you shoot down 10, the swarm doesn't care. If you jam 50, the swarm reroutes. We are entering the era of swarm warfare, where quantity becomes quality and the sheer number of enemies is the weapon itself. For the last century, military dominance was about building the biggest, most expensive toy, the biggest aircraft carrier, the fastest jet, the heaviest tank. We put all our eggs in a few very expensive baskets. But biology teaches us a different lesson. Bees, ants, and starlings don't survive because they are individually strong. They survive because they are numerous and coordinated. Engineers are now applying this biological rule to warfare. We are moving away from the superweapon and toward the super swarm. Welcome to InnoVision Tech. Let's analyze the storm that is coming. The most critical thing to understand is that a drone swarm is not just a group of robots. It is a single organism made of thousands of parts. In a traditional drone attack, a human pilot flies one drone. In a swarm, the human just tells the cloud, "Secure this area," and the machines figure out the rest. They utilize something called emergent behavior. Individual drones follow simple rules: stay close to your neighbor, match speed, avoid collision. But together, they display complex intelligence. It is the same algorithm that allows a flock of starlings to twist and turn in the sky without crashing. They communicate continuously, sharing data at the speed of light. If one drone on the edge of the swarm spots a radar station, every other drone instantly knows the location. They don't need a central commander. If you blow up the leader, the swarm instantly promotes a new one. It is a decentralized, self-healing network. You can kill the individual bodies, but you cannot kill the brain, because the brain is distributed everywhere. This leads to a tactical nightmare called the saturation attack. Modern defense systems, like the Iron Dome or the Patriot missile, are designed to intercept specific high-value targets. They are great at shooting down $1 million missile. But what happens when the enemy sends 5,000 cheap drones at $1 billion destroyer? The ship's radar lights up like a Christmas tree. It faces a problem known as magazine depth, a fancy way of saying running out of bullets. A destroyer might have 90 missile tubes. If the enemy sends 91 drones, the ship dies. The automated guns melt from overheating trying to track hundreds of targets at once. Even if the ship destroys 99% of the drones, 50 still get through, and 50 kamikaze drones are enough to sink the ship. The swarm wins simply by exhausting the enemy's ammunition. It turns our advanced technology against us by flooding the system until it crashes. This brings us to the cold, hard math of war. We call this asymmetric cost. An F-35 fighter jet costs about $80 million. A suicide drone can be 3D printed for a few $1,000s. You can literally build 10,000 drones for the price of one jet. This changes the logic of conflict. We are moving from exquisite systems, where we protect every unit because it's expensive, to attritable systems, where the hardware is disposable. If an enemy fires a $5,000 drone at you and you shoot it down with a $2 million interceptor missile, you might have survived the attack, but you have lost the war economically. You will go bankrupt long before they run out of drones. Swarms force advanced militaries to stop using expensive missiles and start using lasers and microwaves because bullets are just too expensive to waste on flying toasters. Finally, the swarm eliminates the concept of stealth. For decades, we have relied on hiding our jets and tanks using radar-absorbing paint. but you can't hide from a sensor grid that covers the entire sky. A swarm can spread out over miles, creating a multi-static array. This means one drone blasts a radar signal, and 1,000 other drones listen for the echo. They utilize sensor fusion. Drone A has a thermal camera, Drone B has a magnetic sensor, and Drone C sniffs for chemical exhaust. They layer these maps together to build a 3D picture of the battlefield that is impossible to fool. They act like a giant floating net. If a tank moves a single inch or starts its engine, one of the thousands of eyes will see it, and the entire swarm will descend. In the future battlefield, if you can be seen, you are dead. And with a swarm, everything can be seen. There is no fog of war anymore. There is only the all-seeing eye of the machine. Drone swarms represent the industrialization of death. They replace human courage with algorithmic efficiency. They turn war into a math problem where the only variable that matters is manufacturing capacity. We are standing at the edge of a world where the sky is no longer a neutral space, but a domain occupied by clouds of calculating metal. The technology is already here. The only question left is who will master the swarm first. If this glimpse into the future of combat gave you chills, hit that like button. Subscribe to InnoVision Tech to stay ahead of the curve.